there's so much on this set, right? There's so much on this Blu-ray set. I finally finished plowing through it, and I can review the final story. So let's start off with the King's Demons, right? So let's talk about the story. So my overriding impression of this was how much Game of Thrones has really affected the television landscape, much more than I realized, because this is basically a historical political drama, essentially, with a bit of sci-fi thrown in, but especially a historical political drama. And it just the presentation of it is a bit of a dud in today's TV landscape, right? For me, anyway. It was more like a 1970s, a 1970s school educational play, right? That's how I would describe it. The Doctor doesn't show up for quite a while, and there's lots of good. It's all the schoolboy things schoolboys know about knights and King John. You know, jousting. All these things. Annie Ailey in the first episode is wearing a big red wig and a terrible French accent. I find that quite endearing, right? I actually did find that quite endearing. But so there's lots of cute things in the script. It's just it falls very flat. So the director of this, Tony Vigo, this was his first Doctor Who directing job. Right, and there's a lot of opportunities that he missed and things didn't come together. But we'll talk about that more in a moment. So, but again, the story is you got Gerald Flood as King John, and he gives a very Shakespearean performance. Right, I would say somewhat comically Shakespearean performance. But I liked it. Right, I thought his performance was pretty darn good. Who seems to be a bit of a mean King John, right? And he gets he tries to squeeze some more money out the Lord who he's visiting. And he says, "But Lord, I have no more money. My coffers are empty," right? So he does that. The chameleon robot has more expression than Yasmin Finney. Yes, he does. Right? We'll talk about chameleon in a second. And so the son has to go on a joust the next day, and in the middle of the joust, in the making of, they talk about how great the horse was that did the jousting, right? He said that horse was freaking incredible, right? That horse, like, you had to look at camera, and that was it. Mark Strickson talks about that. So in the middle of the joust, the TARDIS shows up, and the Doctor and companions come out. And the king's like, "Oh, you must be demons." So the story continues from there. Eventually, you find out that the king's champion is obviously the master, wearing a red wig, right? As he becomes aware of that. There was a sword fight with the Doctor at the end of episode 1. And it's so lame. It's actually painful how lame it is. But I kind of enjoy the innocent charm of it. So, but the fundamental problem with this story is it's written around an idea that isn't that isn't the strongest. Well, no, not strong. It's written around an idea that if it worked, would have been freaking awesome. So this guy invented the chameleon robot, and it was supposed to be able to walk and do all these things, but the guy died. Essentially, and nobody had the software to run this or know how to do anything with it. That being said, Chameleon looks freaking awesome when you see him on screen. I can see why John Nathan Turner was so excited about this. Chameleon looked absolutely freaking awesome. Well, just a great piece of design, right? They couldn't make it work, which was a problem, right? The eyes were rolling about everywhere. But like King John, he plays this song, and then you have Chameleon playing it. So while it was faked, it looked good. But it just like sadly it didn't work. And John Nathan Turner was just pissed with the whole thing, right? So the making of, they said because it didn't work, he had to they had to remount a studio day, which is a fortune apparently. And so that's why Tony Virgo, was it Tony Virgo? Tony Virgo never got called back again by John Nathan, because John Nathan was just pissed at Tony Virgo for like not being able to get it to work. And look, I understand John Nathan Turner's point of view, right? John Nathan Turner was a doer, right? He was somebody who would make things happen. And if something went wrong, he would find a way of making it work. Greatest Show in the Galaxy, great example. That was his skill. And he didn't understand anybody not having the skill. And Tony Virgo didn't, right? He didn't have the skill to make it work. Which is a shame, right? Which is a shame. JNT was better than RTD. Well, JNT, he directed the sequels in Five Doctors, we'll talk about in a second, which was probably one of the best things he ever did. But JNT, that's an interesting discussion. Who's better, JNT or RTD? That really is a good discussion. We'll talk about that another time. That's Solar Engine. Thank you for bringing that up. Really got to have a think about that. So they did the location filming at Bonham Castle, and now when they were filming around, they did the making of there, filmed around there. You saw what a great location it was, and like they never used the moat and things like that. They could have used so much more. And again, the director Tony Virgo said, if I was more experienced, I totally would have done more on location, because the location was very strong. Fine, but what makes this this particularly, I think, strong and powerful is all the was it additional stuff on there? Some new, some seen before. So behind the sofa, I always love behind the sofa, right? It really is fun. Behind the sofa is Sarah Sutton, Peter Davison, and Janet Fielding, who was a major threesome. Who's with Colin Baker? It's Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy in group number 2, and Sophie Aldred. I think Bonnie Langford. Is it Bonnie Langford? Yeah, let's see if it says over here. Behind the sofa. No, Katie Manning, right? Katie Manning and Sophie Aldred in group 3. Watching. I've always enjoyed Behind the Sofa. I think it's a great little feature. Fine. So you have a Chameleon featurette that comes over from DVD. That's kind of good as well. Again, I can't tell you how great Chameleon looks on camera, and the trouble is it's always written around bringing Chameleon in as a companion, even though it didn't work, right? Magna Carta featurette, I thought that was somewhat boring. That's also from the Blu-ray DVD. Nationwide, yeah, the Doctor. I love these. There's so many great archive clips on here. So Nationwide, you have original producer Verity Lambert appears with 3 Doctors: Peter Davis, John Pertwee, and Patrick Troughton from March 18th, 83. That was great, right? That was really good. Basically, all these things are great. Points of view, Via Rex anti-aliens accent. Again, I found it quite charming, honestly. Saturday Superstore, Peter Davis and Janet Field and Mark Strickson with, it was the guy who hosted it. It wasn't Noel Evans, that was Swap Shop. I can't remember. More Nationwide, the Radiophonics, and I'm on the Radiophonic Workshop. That's actually good. Okay, but the main body here, right, is the Longleat 20th anniversary convention footage. So you got a lot of stuff on that. You have a panel with Tom Baker. Here, 1 second. Let me go look at my files, because I literally just labeled them 2 days ago because I had a few of them wrong. Black Orchid, not Black Orchid. King's Demons. We got so Longleat. You have Nicholas Courtney, and it was a Udit family. Nicholas Courtney, just passed away. What's his name? Nicholas Courtney, John Pertwee, and Mike Yates. Who else? Mike Yates. Literally just passed away, right? So that's one. You have Tom Baker with John Leeson. That's really charming. I think it's probably one of the first things he did since leaving the role. You had the Peter Davison era. So you have Peter Davison, Janet Fielding, John Nathan Turner, Sarah Sutton, Mark Strickson, Anthony Ainley. Anthony Ainley I could watch him all day, right? Anthony Ainley is crazy. Then you got another one with Carol Ann Ford and Nick Courtney. And also I had William Hartnell's daughter or granddaughter. Patrick Troughton had a long section in there, and also John Purvey. So it was a really good convention footage stuff. Then you got the BBC News report from it. Breakfast time. Nicola Bryant's first appearance after being announced as a new companion. Stunning hot there as well. Like, that woman doesn't know how not to be hot, right? She is just freaking gorgeous. Southeast at 6, more local stuff. Swap Shot, Star Awards. That was in 80. Yeah, look, okay. There's more. It just goes on forever. BBC News, Peter Davison departs. News round about Davison's departure. Southeast at 6. Peter Davison, John Nathan Turner appeared to discuss the Doctor's departure. John Nathan Turner was in it as much as he possibly could be. Breakfast time. Peter Davison, Sandra Dixon. That's weird, right? That is like, knowing Frank Boff was a coke addict really makes a lot of sense now, right? That was a very weird conversation. BBC News, 6 Doctor Colin Baker's announced, and then breakfast time, Colin Baker, Australian convention footage. That's also quite it. It's Janet Fielding at a convention. Archive audio, you got a long lead feature transmitted on the April 4th. A feature on the Blackpool exhibition, and a radio interview with actor Gerald Flood. Again, who sounds the same in the interview, right? He's got his lips a little bit more Shakespearean, but he sounds basically the same. Trails Continuity photo gallery, never look at it. Anniversary photo gallery, I don't think even bother looking at them. Lots of PDF material. The PDF materials are great. So, look, if this was an individual disc, I would stay by it for the ancillary footage, which is great, right? The ancillary stuff is really freaking awesome. And it really is fantastic. Story itself, I'm a completist. I couldn't live without it. And it's lovely seeing it in wonderful HD. Actually, one of the drawbacks seeing in HD is you see, like, the Peter Davison titles don't really work so well now, because you can see where they... in 1983, when you're watching the Starfield on the title, right? You couldn't really see the individual stars being put in there to turn into Peter Davison's face. Now you see them a mile away, right? So it doesn't really work that well. But still, it's great seeing it in glorious HD, right? Glorious HD. I hope I don't think they're going to come out with the new video format until they wrap up putting it on Blu-ray. Hurrah for that, right? I think the appetite to move to a new format is dead as a doornail right now. I mean, especially as we're heading to a disillusionment on society, and every moving into poverty. But still, honestly, I would say hands down the best piece of merchandise from the anniversary year was the '83 box set, right? The season 20 box set. My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.